The Pittsburgh Steelers close out the season with 4 straight losses. Isn't that great? No, it's not. It's embarrassing. We're going into the playoffs next week. Probably going to play the Ravens in Baltimore, even though we usually have the Ravens number. This year, it's not looking good. The Ravens are on fire, and they're probably going to beat us, and we're going to get another 6 straight. Okay, first round exit, but let's talk about this game to the Bengals. We lose 19-17 at home. Okay, we didn't have the chance at winning the division anymore since the Ravens won earlier. We had a chance at winning the division throughout the season. Of course, we choked up by losing 4 straight. And of course, one of them losing to the Browns. It is what it is, right? So we go into this game. Let's try to end the season with something good. Give us some momentum going into the playoffs. Let's get a good, solid win. And no, they couldn't do that. Terrible coaching. Absolutely terrible coaching from the head coaching, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. Bad playing. Okay, Russell Wilson, not playing good. His first 5 games, he was solid. I was happy with the way he was playing. And then he just went downhill after the Browns loss. Okay, it's not looking good with Russ. People are saying they want to bring in Justin Fields in. I wasn't a big fan of Fields. I'm not saying I'm not a big fan of Fields, but I don't think that he was enough to get us going to the playoffs. I thought Russ would open up our offense more, and he clearly did when he first started. But now he's starting to plateau. Now we're basically stuck with no good quarterback play. All right, so if they want to give Fields a shot going into this playoffs, whatever. We're not winning the Super Bowl. I mean, we'll be lucky to win the first round, okay? But if they want to give him a shot, see what he's like, to give us some hope into next year, go for it. I mean, it really doesn't even matter at this point. A typical Steelers end-of-season collapse. Tomlin gets his winning record. Everybody calls him the coach of the year. Then he goes on vacation, and we lose first round of playoffs. Or we collapse at the end of the year. Barely get into playoffs and get blown out. But, everybody blames everybody but Tomlin. Never Tomlin's fault, right? Happens for 8 straight years since Obama was president. Not Tomlin's fault. Either way, okay? It's not just Tomlin's fault, though. I agree. It's not just Tomlin's fault. I mean, the playing was terrible yesterday. Bad play calling. Okay, bad defense. Their defense folded throughout the season, too. We had one of the best defense. I was telling you earlier in the year that we have the best defense in the league. I stand by that. We had the best defense in the league in the first half of the season. I stand by that. And special teams. We simply beat the Falcons off field goals, okay? We beat the Broncos in a close defensive game. We beat the Chargers the same way. So many other teams earlier in the year the same way, okay? And they just absolutely folded. TJ Watt, my favorite player, he needs to do something. I mean, in big games, he's quiet. He should have had at least 2 sacks yesterday, and he was quiet. He was quiet. Some plays he wasn't even in. All right, I don't know if he was injured. I don't know if they just took him out. But I'm looking at the stat sheet right now. I barely even see him. I don't even think he did anything last night. That's embarrassing. TJ Watt needs to play better. He's one of our better players. Obviously, he is our best player when he gets going. And he just fell off in the second half of the season again. Offensively, Russell Wilson, 148 yards, a touchdown, no turnovers, but a lot of holding the ball on too long, like he's been doing all year. Bad reads, bad throws, and just taking sacks. You know what I mean? So we need better QB play by Russell Wilson if we want to win a football game. Rushing game was okay. We got to feed Najee more. 12 carries, 36 yards, and a touchdown. Jalen Warren, we got to feed more, is what I should really be saying. 6 carries for 21 yards. That's really it. I mean, Jalen Warren and Najee Harris, I was really hoping going into this season, and we saw little bits of it, that they'd be a really solid 1-2 punch. Jalen Warren for the outsides, get that speed. Najee Harris, get that extra yards. Najee Harris had a pretty solid year this year, like usual. He's very consistent. One thing to say about Najee, he's very consistent, constantly having 1,000-yard seasons, constantly getting those extra yards. So he's very consistent, and he's fairly healthy as well, but I really want to see a good 1-2 punch. If we didn't have the pass game there, not a lot of receivers, which we don't have a lot of receivers, which I'll get into, at least pound the rock. And we didn't really do that much. We still decided to pass a lot. I don't know. I don't really get the logic. Pat Freiermuth, he's a guy who's been very consistent this year as well. 8 receptions, 85 yards, and a touchdown already. Pat Freiermuth is probably our best. George Pickens and Pat Freiermuth were our best offensive weapons, but George Pickens yesterday, let me tell you, he had 6 targets, 1 catch for 0 yards, 3 drop passes. I was not a big fan of George Pickens throughout the years, simply due to his attitude. He had some attitude issues yesterday, once again, arguing with people, and then drops 3 passes. Listen, George Pickens is a very talented player, but he should not be on the Steelers anymore. He just shouldn't be. You gotta just admit that. I made a video of this 2 years ago when he was throwing tantrums, and he's doing the same thing this year, and he's not really producing. He gets his, every once in a while gets those nice deep passes, nice catches, but he's a cancer in the locker room. just trade him. Just let him walk. All right, he has one more year with us on a rookie contract, but I say just trade him. I don't know what we're going to get. Teams aren't going to want to give us a first or a second round pick because of the attitude. So that shows you. George Pickens, great athlete, but time to move on. We can't keep dealing with divas. We just can't. All right, we need to draft another wide receiver if we have to. We need to sign a big wide receiver. We need a solid wide receiver one. Michael Williams, had a huge catch earlier in the game on the sideline. And then we just don't hit him the rest of the game. That can't be happening. But Pat Frymuth, though, very happy with him at tight end. Defensive-wise, Corey Trice had a nice game, okay? 11 total tackles, big tackle for loss. He also had a blown coverage against Jamar Chase early in the game as well. And then typical play from Payne Wilson, Deshaun Elliott, Alex Highsmith. But TJ Watt, we need him to really step it up if we wouldn't have any chance of winning a playoff game. The standings now for the AFC North. Baltimore, 12-5. Steelers, 10-7. Terrible midseason collapse. I'm not going to spend too much time complaining about Mike Tomlin. We just need to move on. Alrighty, good guy. Thank you for the winning season. Thank you for the Super Bowl 15 years ago. We just need to move on. Alright, we just need to make some changes. We are not going to be a contender ever again with Mike Tomlin. I just don't see how it is. Alright, if people want to blame QB play over the years, right? Ben played terrible in playoffs. We didn't have the quarterbacks. Let me just tell you. We lost to Tim Tebow in the playoffs. Tim Tebow. We lost to Blake Bortles in the playoffs. Okay? Don't give me that terrible quarterback play. Okay? We blew a huge lead to the Jaguars. Okay? We got blown out 3 times in the playoffs over the past 8 years. It's just embarrassing. We just need to move on from Tomlin. Good guy, but I'm telling you, a guy like Ben Johnson, our head coach, he would have had us top of the AFC. He would have been having us score 30 points a game. But Mike Tomlin ain't that guy anymore. He just ain't. We plateau every year with him. We're not going to be a contender. You could defend him that he's a good guy. You could defend him that he's a good coach. But the Steelers are simply not going to be contenders. We haven't been contenders in 8 to 9 years. Okay? Something's got to give. There has to be a common denominator of why we continue to fail. Continue to blame it on bad players, fine. But 8 straight years? Something has to give. Terrible coaching. Alrighty? No coaching tree he has, and everyone likes to blame the play calling. Okay? Our defensive coordinator, our offense coordinator, Arthur Smith, Matt Canada, last year. Who hires those guys? Please tell me. Mike Tomlin does. Okay? He hires those guys. He's the one who wants them. He's the one who keeps them too long. So don't be blaming it on the offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator, because Tomlin's the one who also hires them. Alrighty? So it is what it is. Steelers, another midseason collapse. We got the playoffs next week. If we win, no matter who we play, I know it depends on who loses. I think the Chargers have to stay in and things like that. But I think we're going to play the Ravens at Baltimore. If we do, I don't know. If we somehow win, that's crazy. It's crazy. I'm not going to take back everything I said because we're still 10-7 and still collapsed, and we still should have won the division, which I won it, and I was confident we were going to win. But it is what it is. We'll see. Just another midseason collapse. Let me know down in the comments what you think of this Steelers game, this Steelers season. I'm out, guys. Peace.